Seth. I think the wrestlers in business concept idea is great. I've been a part of it in a couple different areas. They kind of asked me like, hey, to talk about what giving means to our programs. And I'm a way better storyteller than I am public speaker. So I'll tell you kind of Ohio University's story. I've been there for 25 years, and I came from Northern Iowa, first of all. Northern Iowa is a smaller school, but wrestling is the sport there. We have not one double A anymore. FCS football, every other sport's Division I, and wrestling was probably the most important sport on campus. So for me, it was super hard to understand, like, hey, how is wrestling not the most important sport on campus, all those things. And you get to Ohio University, and you think everything's the same across the board everywhere. But when I got there, we had 0 assistant coaches, 4.5 scholarships, and an athletic director by the name of Tom Bay. And Tom Bay was the athletic director at Ohio University, went to Fresno, was the athletic director that dropped wrestling at Fresno. And it didn't really matter what you did at Ohio University, you weren't going to get more money from the school. So if we wanted to make any sort of games, do anything special, we had to figure out a way to do it. The first year I was there, we had 2 guys in the NCAA finals. I think we were 9th in the country, or tied for 9th in the country. Go back, there's not a single article in the paper. There's not anything in really the school newspaper. There's no bonus for the coaches. There's no, hey, we're going to give you more scholarships. No any of that stuff. So at the end of the year, you sit down and think, hey, what do we got to do? You know, what changes do we have to make? And I know, man, we like, our vision in Ohio is to be like Iowa's, Oklahoma State, Ohio State, all those schools. You know, be a team that can be in the top 10 in the country year in and year out. Be a team that can put 5,000 people in the stands. Be in the team, or be a team that's having multiple All-Americans every year. But we have to figure out, hey, how are we going to do that, or how are we going to make our way towards that? For me, the first and foremost was get people involved, get people engaged. So we started doing a lot of different alumni functions, golf outings, we do an open practice before football, all those kind of things. But I think the thing you kind of have to understand is, I would love to say all athletic directors understand wrestling and sports and all that. We had an athletic director for years that didn't understand. How can you take 5 guys to the national tournament and still score team points? Your whole team didn't go. So there's a lot of things that went into it. But what they do understand is they do understand student athlete experience. They do understand money. They do understand top line. They do understand APR, things like that. So what we try to do is make sure we have guys that are getting good grades, above the 3.0 and all that. We were 11th last year response, 20-something this year, 13, 14 the year before that. They have sponsored with my assistant for 6 years, so they do understand those things. And then we slowly started to bring in a little bit of money as we got people involved. And we went, and I can't name the years exactly, but I want to say it was 2004. We went from 4.5 scholarships to 6.5, and had our first full-time assistant coach ever. And then maybe 2009 we went from 6.5 to 8.5, and I think 2011 is when we got the NCAA limit of 9.9. You know, all of it's in a matter of perspective. I mean, if we're talking about Ohio University and Ohio State University, our administration loves us because we bring in money. So this last year alone, we probably brought in, I don't know, $100,000, right at $100,000. We had a crowdfunding campaign in the month of February. We brought in $50,000 in that month. Okay, put it in perspective. Women's track and field was $1,500. Men's golf was maybe $4,000. Baseball was $15,000, and we brought in $50,000. Well, I have the same mindset you guys do. Like, you guys valued your college experience. You develop a work ethic, all those things through wrestling in college. For me, when we said we were going to raise 50 grand, there's no way we were going to fail, right? Wasn't going to happen that we raised 40 or 30 or 20 or whatever it was. So we set it up, in all honesty, so we didn't fail. I had like matching gifts every $5,000. So we raised $5,000. He kicked in $5,000 to make it 10. Well, but you still had to go out and talk to those people and arrange it. And it was a successful campaign. People were excited about it. Guys on the team gave all those things. And in the eyes of our administration, like, holy smokes, wrestling's killing it. In the eyes of the wrestling coach, you know, man, we need to do twice that much if we really want to be good. And again, you look at it as, hey, COVID year, Spons was there during the COVID year. You know, our budget was a train wreck. I think our wrestling budget was $25,000 for that year. All right, we made it work. We raised some money again that year and made it work. I had my budget meeting at the beginning of this year. And the reason for my budget meeting is usually I don't really care that much. I'll just figure we'll make it work, we'll raise the money and all that. We hired a guy, Hunter Stever, wrestled at Ohio State, 4-time state champ. A great hire for us. I mean, I think a home run hire for us as far as recruiting, wrestling, all those things. And he wanted more money than we paid. All right, great. So I said, Hunter, I'm gonna have to go ask, but I'm guaranteeing you the money, but you gotta guarantee me you're coming. I'm not even gonna go ask if you're not coming. So I went and asked, all right, what'd they say? Yeah, you can do it, but you gotta raise the money. Okay, great, we did it. And then, so I wanted to know, hey, how much money do we have to raise? I mean, I started panicking about that a little bit. Like, you know, I kind of take it personally, like it's my own checkbook. I don't want to spend more than I have. So I have my budget meeting. I sit down, and she writes down 70,000 change, whatever it was. And I was like, oh, smokes. I mean, that's not very good. You know, before COVID, we were 90,000, now we're 70,000. But you know what? I understand.
Don't touch your shirt, Coach. Lost chalk.
I know. I'm always fiddling with something. Okay. So anyway, so as I'm getting up to walk out of the room, the lady's like, "Oh, and that includes the $30,000 you have to raise this year." So I was like, "Hold on a minute. What you're really telling me is our budget's 40 grand." She's like, "Well, yeah, essentially, but we want you to raise 30 grand." Okay, great. We'll make it happen. So, you know, we raised the money. We made it through the year. Obviously, if you look at what we're budgeted and what we spent, we're going to be over budget. But we had the money to cover, and that's super important. Okay, that's super important in the eyes of our administration, of all administration. So basically, what it comes down to is what you guys are doing through Wrestlers in Business and looking to get back. You add value to the program, which in turn adds value to the university. Okay? They value wrestling at Ohio University. We went through, we'll say 10 years ago, I'm probably a liar, but it was somewhere between 10, 8 and 12 years ago that we went through where we dropped 3 programs. 2 men's program and a women's program to supposedly Title IX, supposedly to get our budget in line somewhere where we can meet our budget every year. And thankfully, wrestling wasn't one of those programs. I mean, and I think a lot of it had to do with, hey, we added value to the university. They thought we could be good on a national level. They saw us bringing in money, okay, to the university. They saw us supporting themselves. And I'm not a big complainer anything ever, really. I mean, probably like a lot of you guys, I think I can do it. I think I can do anything. And so they tell me really whatever they want to tell me. I'm like, all right, we're going to be good anyway. And I think we can be, and I think I can overcome it. I think we can raise the money. So we add value to the university. I was talking to our fundraising guy this morning, actually, and he has his evaluations every year, and part of his evaluation is how did all the teams do in the crowdfunding campaign. Okay, he has to average $15,000 a team, and he got a good evaluation because the wrestling raised way more than $15,000. And one other sport met it. 16 sports total, one other met it, so that makes 14 did. But his average came out because of us, all right? We add value to his job as well. So, long story short, I think we've come a long way in a short period of time. We have goals and aspirations of being a lot better than we are. I think we plug away at those every year, get closer and closer. You know, I encourage you, whether you're an alumni of Ohio University or wherever you're alumni of, get involved a little bit. We try to, and I'm not asking for money. I'm more of a friend raiser guy than a fundraiser guy, to be honest. I just want people to be involved. I want butts in the seats. I want people to come to the functions, drink a couple beers, have a good time. Because I look back at my college career, and Joe and Sponsor were both studs, right? I don't remember a lot of wins and losses. You know what I remember? I remember wrestling at Carver Hawkeye when I was Pat, right? I remember going to Lehigh and there's 50 old men right behind you telling you how bad you are. You know, I remember those things. And really, that's what I want for our guys. I want them to have those experiences. I remember wrestling in the Midlands in front of a big crowd. Carver Hawkeye in front of a big crowd. We would wrestle our Iowa State duel. And Joe might have been a part of it. Yeah, it might be before Joe. Did you wrestle in the West Gym or the Dome?
No.
I don't know. But we had it was back in the day that we had a men's gym on campus and a women's gym on campus. Men's gym was 3,500 seats, something like that. Got about 105 degrees in there, and we wrestled Iowa State in there. We put the pep band right behind their bench. Coach Douglas asked me to come over and ask if we could move them. I was like, no. But those are the things I remember. Okay, and I want every guy on our team to have those same experiences. Okay, I want them to enjoy it. I want them to have a good time. Kind of the days of, hey, we piled in 2 vans and we bought a couple loaves of bread and some lunch meat and travel are gone. You have to travel pretty good. I don't think it needs to be great. I don't think it needs to be over the top, but you have to, hey, take buses, at least get some good food, not just groceries the whole time. I want them to have the same experiences we have and remember the same things we do. So it's important. Get involved. Give back in one way or another. A lot of times I think giving back is just being involved. So, anybody have any questions? Anything about Ohio wrestling? Yesterday.
I know we started to talk about some. I know you had last year. How many did you send to?
2.
Delays, but okay, 2.
2 young guys, 2 freshmen. I think we were a lot better than that, to be honest. We fell apart a little bit at the end of the year. We were rolling all the way up to our last duel, and got a couple guys hurt in that duel. They just didn't recover before the tournament, and had some great things happen in the tournament, but
and you got everybody coming back. So.
got everybody coming back. I'll tell you the same thing I tell our team is I can explain it away, I just don't want to.
Any talk from admin on adding women's wrestling?
Talk, yes.
Awesome. That's progress.
Yeah,
Huh? Okay, my name is Brittany Carrington. I am the secretary on the board of Wrestlers in Business. I'm a business owner. I own a manufacturing business close to Dayton, Ohio. I am a high school coach. I am on the board at USA Wrestling Ohio. I wear a lot of hats in the wrestling world. Mainly local to Dayton in the grassroots movement of growing women's wrestling in the state of Ohio. I sat on the board that sanctioned it here in the state, so just a lot of progress here, and always willing to talk about it with people like you.
We've talked about it. It would check a lot of boxes for us. From my end of it, I don't really know where to get started to even, kind of kick the ball down the road a little bit. Love to talk to you about it.
Yeah, for sure. I'm all about helping.
But it does check a lot of boxes for us. Our administration has talked about it. I've talked to them about it. I think at a place like Ohio University, you have a lot of fish to fry before you
For
start
sure.
having
It's
your
that way
restaurant.
everywhere. It's not just Ohio University.
And I think, in all honesty, I think it would be fairly cheap.
Oh, for sure, because you don't have to buy mats, there's so many things you don't need to buy other than salaries,
It needs to happen.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'd love to talk to you about it sometime.
Yeah,
What's
for
your
sure.
take on women's wrestling and attacking college wrestling? Back to Title IX and other factors into, is it a good thing? Is it help in that regard? Or where they're gonna wrestle, they're gonna take away like room? There's a lot of logistics.
Yeah, all those are great questions. I think, you're getting wrestling fans, whether they're men's fans, women's fans, whatever. You're increasing the fan base, which I think we need. People have so many different things going on in their lives. We're all stubborn. I love tournaments, but I think dual meet is king. I think like an Ohio State rivalry would be a huge deal. I think you would get a lot of people for that. We're all stubborn to, geez, we need to go to the Midlands and get 7 matches in a day, but, Andy back there doesn't have a lot of money, so he does, I'm kidding, but,
I need money too.
but it's an outlay of cash, probably $150 for tickets, a couple nights in the hotel room, you gotta drive, you gotta fly, you gotta all that. All right, maybe I don't wanna spend the money on that. I'd rather just go to a dual meet. So, I think as far as the dual meet time and space, that's easily worked out. I think the wrestling room time and space is easily worked out. At Ohio University, we have one gym. Volleyball practice in there, men's basketball practice in there, women's basketball practice in there, cheerleading practice in there. They figure it out. Okay?
You can figure out a wrestling room.
That's simple to figure out. Probably the biggest thing for us is what do we do for a life? That would be the. So I really think it's good. The only thing I really worry about, in all honesty, is so many programs are adding women's wrestling. Are there enough women's wrestlers? As fast as they're at them at the college level. Whether, not necessarily at them fast at Division I level, but if you look at NAIA, Division II, Division III, they're adding it quick.
I will tell you this, if it's any help with admin, they just released the data for the last 2 years since COVID started, and women's wrestling at the high school level grew 71% in 2 years. So I do think that while some of the smaller schools that don't have the support like you have might struggle with filling their rosters, but schools like that are a little bit bigger are going to have better opportunity at filling those rosters with quality wrestlers versus developmental wrestlers.
Let's get on the house, so I have to get them all.
Yes.
That's what they're doing right now.
Yeah, they're going to continue to get them all. I saw that graphic where there's like
I mean,
3
just start
Division I
practice.
women's programs, is that right?
8
3
grades or
Division
so.
I
I was gonna
women's
skip
programs.
4.
4?
Yep.
4.
I just saw that graphic somewhere
Yep,
earlier
4.
this week. So,
And there is one is transferring over to D1.
Who are the 4?
It's
Sacred Heart, Presbyterian, Iowa. What's the fourth one?
Fair,
What?
not Fairham. No.
There's one that's like going from D2 to D1.
Yeah,
or
they're just
something
coming
like
up.
that.
Lindenwood. Yeah. You got it.
Which is funny because their roster is kind of shaped.
The one problem you're gonna run into, like, and I don't want to speak for Joel, but any kind of Division I school women's wrestling is, they don't have a problem with enrollment. So, I'm a Division II actually, we're enrollment driven school.
Yeah.
That's where I think that's a big leg work for women's wrestling is trying to get into enrollment driven schools.
Yeah.
You know, they don't need more students. You know, they'll pay that. So
Hey,
why spend money on a sport that they don't need?
Right.
It's not bringing the students.
Right.
So, but the problem with like enrollment driven schools like us is saying we locker space.
Right.
You know, they have to like we don't have enough lockers for all our sports right now.
For sure.
You know, and it's gonna cost us $1 million or whatever to build lockers.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, but I think the big leg work is actually your smaller schools, your D3s, and that's what you're seeing. So
Yeah.
many programs we add because of that.
Yeah, I guess just my perspective is that. So I also coach national dual team, so I get to see the progress of the K through 12 movement of women's wrestling. And in the state of Ohio, we have a lot of quality female wrestlers at the high school level that are making world teams and really showing out at the national and world level. And then they have to go to school out of Ohio. So, like you said, Brad, that's unfortunate that we don't have a home base for them to show out here in the state and really represent our state well. So hopefully at some point, Title IX or whatever can make that equality happen, For sure.
Yeah, I would like it to happen. I mean, and we've talked about it.
I know, it's rough.
No, I think really, once we get out of the mess we're in right now, and you can really focus on it, like my mess we're in right now, I mean, you're coming out of COVID, that really screwed things up. I think name, image, and likeness, transfer portal, and all that thing has Division I athletics in turmoil, to say the least. So once we get some of those things settled a little bit, I think it would be a lot more appealing for our administration. But like I said, I think it's a great idea.
I know it's rough.
I think it's on actually almost every athletic director's mind is women's wrestling. I'll be honest. A lot of conversations we have with small schools.
Yeah.
They're asking us, we're asking other schools. So, I just had a talk last week with our athletic director, and he was our president's talking about that. So
Yeah, for sure.
it's there.
Yeah,
so
it is.
That's a good sign.
Yeah, and if you need any help at all, just holler.
I do.
Cool.
Anything else?
Coach, how important is recruiting Ohio, keeping kids home in Ohio to you, and especially particularly in our area, Central Ohio, Southern Ohio, where this network is going to be home base? How important is that?
I think it's the best, arguably the best wrestling area in the state. I mean, or in the country. It has ups and downs like everybody else does, but Ohio's probably one of the best, if not the best wrestling area in the state. So if you look at our lineup, or our roster, not necessarily lineup, but our roster, 95% of it's made up of Ohio kids. And we want to keep Ohio kids home. We want to try to get the best kids in the state. And I think there's a little bit of value in having some outsiders. We try to get a couple of New York kids, a couple of PA kids. We have a couple kids from Missouri, a couple kids from Indiana. Get those guys every year. I think they bring something different to the table a little bit. Sometimes those New York kids are just really tough. The PA kids, on top, on the mat, they bring a lot to your team. So we try to do that and not just recruit Ohio solely, but like I said, 95%